Hey guys, welcome back. How are you? I hope you are good and doing well. In this lecture, we will discuss an interview question. Okay, this interview question is a part of this playlist. So I'm adding this, I'm recording this lecture for this playlist. Okay, but this is very important from the interview perspective as well, and we need this lecture in this project as well. Okay, so the question is, what is two param? Okay, there is a term or there is a method in the Rails which is the two param, and it defines the structure of the URL. Okay, for example, when you click on the view job, you will see that it is showing jobs/1. So by default, it is taking the ID as the parameter to identify the resource object. Okay, so it is taking the ID. But what if you want to send different attributes rather than IDs, because sometimes IDs are not considered to be show in the URL. Okay, so for security reasons, let's say you want to add some slug here, or you want to display some UUID or secure random tokens here. Okay, for example, if we check here, so when you click on the apply this job, you will see that we are showing job ID like that. Okay, so this is the job id that we are showing. So this is the better way to display in the url. Okay, because it is safe, because we are not exposing the id of the job which is stored in the database. Okay, but in this url what we are doing, that we are exposing the id of the job. Okay, so that can be considered as a wrong practice or not a good practice to develop things. Okay, so what we need to do, that we will customize the two param method. Okay, and we will send the job uuid, because we have the uuid attribute in the job model. Okay, so let me show you in the schema, that in the schema, that in the job model you can see that we have the uuid here. Okay, so what we will do, that we will create a method. So in this job model, what we can do, def 2 underscore param, sorry, 2 underscore param, and here we need to add our UUID. Okay, so what we can do, UUID. We just need to mention the attribute name that we want to use as the ID in the URL or parameter in the URL. Okay, so now what will happen, that if you save this, so whenever you click on the view job link or view object link, no matter which in which active record model you are adding this method or customizing this method, that will take the attribute instead of id, which is the by default convention of the rails. Okay, so here save it, and now let's go to the page. Okay, back it, refresh the page. Okay, and when you click on the view job, and when you just put it, you can see that it is showing the ids like jobs slash this uuid. Okay, so it is the safer way, because we are not exposing the id here. Okay, and if you go on to again and click on any other job again, you will see that it is showing jobs 617 and so on, whatever this uuid. So this is a better practice. Okay, but what will happen, that if you refresh this page now, okay, it is working, and if you go to the terminal and look at the logs, you will see that it is sending the id as uuid. Okay, so that's why this considered to be a better practice. Okay, and you are providing id as the uuid here, not the id which is stored in the database. So this is the safe practice. Okay, so you can see that jobs 617 and so on. So now it's done, and this is what the two params can do. Okay, so now let's go to the job listing again, index page. Now let's try with the remote jobs. Okay, and click on this view job, you will see the job by its uuid. Okay, so this is the safer way and better way to do not expose the database IDs into the URL. Okay, and you can easily achieve this by using two param method. Okay, and two param method is the method that you need to customize in the model. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and make sure you must have idea about that, because that is important from the interview's perspective as well. Because this question can be asked in different ways, like what method you will use to replace the friendly id, or to provide the custom slug in the url instead of ids. Okay, so you can either use friendly id gem, which is provide the slugs to active record objects. But if you don't want to use the gem, you can customize your two params method, and you will see the ids like it. Okay, now let's me tell you that what if we want to use the job title here. So what we can do that something like that, replace it, and then what we can do here, title dot parameterize. Okay, now let's see whether this typo is correct or not. So what we can do, go to the terminal and open the Rails console, and in the Rails console what we need to do, title equal to job dot last dot title. Okay, and then what we need to do, title dot parameterize. Okay, so obviously there is a typo mistake, so parameterize. Okay, let's use this spelling directly. Okay, so you can see that this is showing the title like that. Okay, so now you can use this as a slug value as well. For example, let's correct this. So title dot parameterize, just copy it and paste into the to param method. Okay, so now what it is doing, it will do that, it will take the job title as slug and it will show it into the URL. So go to the browser. Okay, go to the, for example, let's say go to the remote job and click on the view job. Okay, so here you will see that could not find job with ID customer community service coordinator. And this case we need to handle that, we need to make it something like that job dot title dot parameterize is equal to that value. Okay, and in that case we can fix that error, but the overall motive is to show you that how we can use this custom slug provider in our Rails rather than using IDs, or if we do not want to use the friendly ID gem into our Rails application, so how we can create custom slugs. So this is how you can do that. Okay, so what you just need to do, that you need to add this to param method within the model. Okay, and then use that. But for my case, I just want to use the UUID, so I will use this. Okay, and if I go to the browser, refresh the page, it will work again. Okay, if even if I refresh the page, it will work again. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and we will meet into another lecture by discussing task about this project. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, stay safe.